off the rails, right versus left. Looks like today the guys are busy. Brian had kind of an emergency. Not sure about Brad, but so it's just me today. So a few things that I want to talk about, I'm going to go ahead and talk about. One being, I officially have a new preference for the Republican nomination. Going to talk about the infantilizing of black people with this bullshit about everything is white supremacy, even what black people do. Joe Biden appointing a judge that literally has his own level of intellect, and the BS in the 1619 Project. There is a good article on Conservative Daily News that covers historians pointing out the outright lies in the 1619 Project. So first and foremost, I am hoping that we're going to have our first female presidential candidate. I actually supported Nikki Haley when she was initially running for president. I think she would make an awesome president. Her policies have always been very conservative. She served in the state legislature in South Carolina before she went on to be the governor. Her main priority was lowering taxes and freeing up business and households to conduct. She was very pro-life. And also, she believed in education, making pay increases, not just about seniority and education, but also about the results that they received. So, yeah, all around, I support her policies. So, and then maybe it's kind of good that she didn't get the nomination the first time she ran for president, because she was able to serve under Donald Trump as the UN ambassador to the the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. So she kind of got some foreign policy bona fides as well. And she would be the first female president, and she would be the first children of immigrants to be president in a long time. And she would be the first Asian American president. So that would be absolutely awesome. So I'm totally going to support her 100%. I know her policies are conservative. She's not going to be the lightning rod like either DeSantis or Trump. Now, granted, this will probably be the first time in a long time that I haven't voted for a libertarian candidate, unless they somehow come up with an actual serious candidate. I just don't see voting for them this year. I just don't trust what's going on right now to put my vote on a third party unless they get some serious traction. I voted for Jorgensen last time. And who was it? Gary Johnson in 2016. So while I supported Trump's policies, I didn't actually vote for him in either of his elections, but I didn't vote against the other person either, because there are more candidates than that. Anyway, so Nikki Haley for president. Before we go on to the next topic, make sure that you like, subscribe, share with friends, so they can keep track of what we're talking about. And YouTube is doing all they can to grind us out, so we're not online. We keep getting hit with bans with content that they already reviewed and said did not violate the terms of content. So make sure that you subscribe to us on Rumble too if you're watching us on any other platform. That way you can make sure that no matter what YouTube or Facebook do, you can still follow us. Or you can follow me at Robbie Brown on Twitter. All of our shows post there too. And looks like we got Brian on the roll.
Rolling down the highway.
All right, well, just keep your eyes on the road, Fulio.
Oh, I am. Trust me, I am.
So, yeah, I just said I officially am I'm on Team Nikki Haley for the Republican candidate for president.
Yeah, I'm gonna really look forward to hearing her ideas and her politics, because I like Nikki Haley. I thought she was an awesome UN ambassador.
Yeah, I think she's just awesome all the way around. She's I think she's gonna be she'd be a great president, and it would be kind of like historic.
Yeah.
First female president.
Yep.
First. I just want to hear how the Democrats go and say that she's, because you know what they're gonna do. They're gonna say she's the what, yellow face of white supremacy.
No, the yellow face.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's Asian, so.
Is Nikki Haley part Asian?
Yeah, she's Indian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so.
I know it never mattered to me, so I hadn't really thought about it.
Yeah, her parents are Indian immigrants, so yeah.
That's cool. I've always thought she was a beautiful woman from what I've seen, but
yeah,
I never really knew what her ancestry was.
So smart and so principled. She always sticks to guns on her beliefs. Like, and
incredibly
like even
smart.
Yeah, and even in her support of Donald Trump, she was never like a gung-ho Trumper, but she did say, of the choices in the politics right now, hands down, Donald Trump has the best policies. And that's how you should vote. You should vote based on the policies. And that's a weakness in this country, that right now we don't have people voting for president based on their policies. We have them based on their identity, whether it's Democrat, black,
and I can
gay.
understand. I can understand the wanting somebody who you can go to your kids and go, hey, that's the type of person you should be. But if there's no policies to follow that, then the country just falls apart. So, right. I mean, we've always said Trump is a jackass. He's a prick. But man, we love his policies, and we love the fact that he says something and he sticks to it.
Yeah. Hey, he's the first president I ever remember that tried to do everything that they said they were going to do.
Yeah, every promise he made in his name, he either did or he fought to do.
Now, since we're talking about slapping other faces on white supremacy, oh my God, with this Tyree Nichols shit. Okay, 5 black cops, reportedly a couple of them maybe even gang members and cops. Well, I didn't hear all 5. I hear at least a couple of them were reportedly gang members, but literally the excuse is they are the black face of white supremacy. Okay. So all the thousands of black people that were killed by black people in Chicago over the last couple of years, are those all the blackface of white supremacy too? No, you know what it is? It's democratic racism that's infantilizing black people and trying to abdicate grown-ass adults of the responsibility for their decisions. Okay? So, now, first of all, to act like they're not responsible for their decisions, they want to say every white person is responsible for slavery that happened before we were ever born.
Generations before.
And happened to people that aren't even alive anymore. And we're responsible for that. And yet, black person that goes and picks up a gun and decides to end somebody's life, or in this case, soccer kicks somebody who's down on the ground and kills them.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with white people. What that has to do with is black culture. That's what it is. I'm going to say it. I'll be the first one to say it. Black culture makes it okay to commit acts of violence. That's it. Rap music is all about violence.
Amen. Amen. Raping, killing.
World star, hip hop. You know, like everybody, like, there's some exceptions, but like the majority of black celebrities at some point have espoused like that violence is cool, that violence is okay. you know, and violence is not okay. So that's part, like,
No.
the left, like, just ignoring culpability
Well, the left loves
and
violence.
absolving them of all responsibility for their actions.
Yeah. They'll argue, no, we don't. But most protests on the left have been known for violence, for burning down buildings, people getting killed, people getting beat up, and and property just destroyed. Where on the right is known for peaceful protest. Now, is 100% of the right protest peaceful? No, we've had some violence happen, but not like on the left. Now, we denounce it and we say how horrible it is. Where the left says, well, it's just property. They have a right to destroy and vent their anger. It's like, well, but people are getting hurt, and it's not just lives. I mean, people.
Okay, I will point out there is no right to protest in the Constitution.
Built their lives.
There is no right to protest in the Constitution. What there is in the Constitution is a right to peaceably assemble. Okay? Now, if your assembly is in protest of something, fine. But you don't have a right to protest, which means if you're doing anything that's not peaceful, if you're making a noisy disturbance, that's not peaceful. You're not peaceably assembling. If you are destroying things or blocking roads, you are not peaceably assembling. You are in violation. You're not, like, exercising your constitutional right. You are exercising lawlessness. If you are going to peaceably assemble, you can apply for a permit to block off this square and assemble there peacefully. And if this is simply about protest, then you can do it. But it has to be a peaceful assembly. The minute you start shouting at people, the minute you start trying to intimidate people, the minute you start destroying things, you are no longer peacefully assembling. You're now a criminal who is creating a public nuisance or a public danger. And frankly, I'm at the point, the minute one person in the crowd, and this needs to be done and it needs to be out there. I know I'm a little extreme on the crime and punishment angle, but I'm sorry. The minute one rock, one bottle, one freaking cotton ball gets thrown by protesters, it is no longer a peaceable assembly, and they should be scattered, not with water guns, not with any of that, with rubber bullets. And if that doesn't do the trick, load up a cartridge of the real ones, that crowd will disperse.
Well, and
like, I am tired of thugs being around, allowed to mob out and riot out.
Well, one of the biggest problems is a lot of these protests do start out peaceful by the local people that live there. But just like in, what is it, what's the name of that one where George Floyd was killed? What was the name of that? No, starts with a K. Kenosha or
Kenosha.
Well, that one started, the first day was peaceful from the people that live there. But as soon as the protesters came in from Portland, Oregon, they turned it violent and started burning down the city.
Yeah, every single person who are all these autonomous zones should be bombed back to the Stone Age.
Oh yeah, no, that's
these are terrorist insurgencies. Yeah. These are no different than Islamic State making a caliphate.
Yeah, no, that is the biggest problem, is these professional left-wing protesters that go into these protests to turn it violent. And it's not the local people. Most of the local people do not want to burn down their city, do not want to destroy their neighbors' businesses and destroy their economy. It's the people that are being flown in and bussed in from other cities like Portland, Oregon, that are turning these protests violent because they don't care about the city. All they want is a violent message out there and then blame it on the right. That's 100% what they're doing, and it's just disgusting. I'm sorry, but those left-wing protests are 100 times worse than what happened on January 6th. I'll say it right now. January 6th was disgusting, never should have happened.
But I think I think every person that committed an act of violence on January 6th should be executed. I think every person that committed an act of violence in any of these BLM riots should be executed. It does not matter why. You do not have a right in this country to protest. If you want to protest something, you have legal courses of action to show your disagreement with something, whether it be filing lawsuits, whether it be electing different officials, or whether it be peacefully assembling. But there is no right to protest. It does not say protest anywhere in the Constitution.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, I totally agree. As soon as it starts turning violent at all, then it needs to be put down. It's just this backing off the police because, well, we don't want anyone to get hurt is total BS.
Bullshit. They want somebody to get hurt. Let it be them. Yeah. Let it be the people that are breaking the law. The minute you even shout in a cop's face, you get billy clubbed across the head. The end.
Yeah. Well, I'll say I think one of the reasons that you saw like those 5 cops, and you find out they were gang members. Well, at least 3 of them.
I don't fucking care.
All of them, whatever.
You know what the reality is?
But I think the biggest problem is this getting rid of the police. So now they're just trying to find anyone to fill those spots. So this left wing pushing out the cops, defund the police, all the police retiring because nobody's backing them up. It's caused this, well, we'll hire whoever we can. So these people that shouldn't be hired, that should never qualified, are now police officers and they're running the streets.
They're perfect. As far as I'm concerned, they were perfectly qualified. You know what you had? You had a fucking black person who has been told that the police are evil and resisted arrest and created a situation for things to escalate.
Yeah.
That's it.
Which I haven't
Tyree
watched.
Nichols is dead because he resisted arrest.
I haven't watched the video. I'd heard that he had complied with everything that these.
No, he did not.
5 cops said. I'm just saying.
He did
that's
not.
what I heard.
They told him get out of the car. He refused. They had to yank him out of the car.
That's fine.
They told him get on the ground. He's like propping up on his shoulder and trying to push back. Then 5 cops manages to stand up and runs. Yeah. They run down, catch him, tackle him. That's when he got his ass whooped.
Yeah. No, I'll say 100% you should do everything the cop says. Even if you're like, I'm 100% innocent. I don't know why they pulled me over. They never should. You do what the cop
and guess what? If they're wrong,
you
sue the city. You make sure that it's a judgment big enough that the cop gets fired. The end.
Yeah. You give them
never going to beat. Yeah. You're never going to beat somebody who has more guns than you on the street.
Yeah.
If you resist the cops, you're going to end up dead. At this point in time, if you're too stupid to fucking realize it, Darwin.
Yeah. Yeah, you never give them an excuse to give you a beat down. And
Darwin.
Yeah. Yeah.
If your dumb ass doesn't know that fighting the cops gets you shot, Darwin.
Yeah, I mean, comply to everything they say, get through the arrest and whatever happens, and then deal with it after that. After you're alive and you're out. You know.
Yeah, I mean, look at some of these like conservative people that get like bullshitted and bullied and fucking arrested at college campuses and shit like that.
Oh yeah.
They fucking comply, they get arrested, they go to court, they win, and then they sue and they win.
Yeah.
Like, because if you win your case and you weren't doing anything wrong, you then have a suit for wrongful imprisonment.
Yeah.
Like the end. But if you resist, the minute you resist, you're committing a crime.
Yeah.
The minute you get fucking attitude, you're committing a crime.
Yep.
If a cop pulls you over, yes, sir, no, sir, or I plead the 5th, they might arrest you for pleading the 5th. But if you plead the 5th and then do whatever they say, then you're fine.
You end up back in the car and then in jail.
Tim Pool, like he floated the theory the guy was a skateboarder. He probably had drugs on him. He ran so he could ditch the drugs and figured, the resisting arrest charge would be less than the charge for less jail time than the charge for being caught with the drugs.
Yeah.
That's a theory, no evidence to it, but it's an interesting theory and would explain a lot. Why a guy who, for the most part, seemed like he had a normal life, fucking fought the cops. Like, dude, you fight the cops, you're gonna lose. And you fight a bunch of fuckers with guns, you're likely gonna die. If you go up to a fucking gang of gang members with fucking guns in their belt and take a swing on one of them, all of them are gonna shoot you. So stop fucking acting like it's unnatural fucking behavior that when you're aggressive with armed people, that they use their weapons against you. That is fucking normal. When somebody attacks you, you use more force than is necessary to neutralize the threat. Don't get me wrong. The cops went too far. It was fucking atrocious. It was a horrible thing to watch. But Tyree Nichols is dead because he resisted arrest.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't watched it, so I'll just go with what you say. But I mean, I've never known you not to go to fudge that.
Oh, I'm sure people will say I'm fucking ignorant, but I said the same thing about George Floyd. George Floyd is dead because he resisted arrest and swallowed all his drugs so he wouldn't get arrested for the fentanyl.
Yeah, well, 100%. It's because he swallowed all the drugs, and they've said
he fucking threw them up in the cop car. They found the fucking pills that he threw up in the cop car, fucking sitting in the cop car after he died.
Yep. Yeah, 100%.
Like he tried to fucking swallow his stash because he was dealing drugs and passing counterfeits. He died because he resisted arrest instead of just being honest. Hey man, I just swallowed a bunch of fentanyl. Get me to the hospital. Guess what they would have done? They would have called him an ambulance, took him to the hospital. Once he was safe and alive, they would have peacefully taken him to jail.
Yeah, if he wouldn't have kept trying to get up, if he would have done what they said,
it doesn't matter. Like even if he had done everything they said, gotten in the car, fucking driven to the station house, by the time they booked him, he would have been dead.
No, absolutely. I'm just saying they would have, if he had done everything they had said, and he had said he needed help from the hospital, then they probably would have gotten medical help. And
no cop wants to see somebody die. You don't become a cop because you get rich killing people.
Yeah,
like if somebody wants to kill people, they don't become a cop. They become a contract killer or a gangbanger or a fucking robber or some shit like that, where you're gonna make some money.
Yeah, no, I'll agree with you 99.999% of the time. That is 100% true.
Yeah, I don't think a single person becomes a cop because they think they get to kill people.
Well, I think there might be the 1 out of a million that goes, oh, yeah,
I don't believe it.
I have all this authority and I'll be able to take advantage of that. Whether they want to actually kill anyone, I doubt that. But
now, maybe 20 years ago, maybe, but not now.
Yeah, but there's a few bad ones, I think, that get in there because they get off on the authority. Now, obviously, that's not as true today as 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
So here's funny. Dude, this one's from Conservative Daily News.
From which one?
Biden appointed a judicial nominee from Spokane, Judge Charnel Bjelkengren.
Okay.
And John Kennedy asked her what Articles 2 and Article 5 of the Constitution do, and she said she doesn't know.
That doesn't surprise me with a Biden appointee. I mean, they do.
Yeah, do you know what they do?
Hire according to race, gender, and sexual orientation. What's that, Rob?
So Article 2.
Yeah.
Article 2 sets up the presidency, and Article 5 sets up how you amend the Constitution.
Yep.
So if you're a judge and you deal with constitutional amendments, you should know what Article 5 is. And if you've ever voted for president, you should know what Article 2 is, especially if you're a lawyer or a judge.
Yeah.
So anyways, but for judicial nominee by Biden having the intellect of a freaking houseplant, that doesn't surprise me of our dipshit in chief.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty on point for Joe Biden.
Yeah, just look at his transportation. The one in charge of transport. What is it?
Bro, you keep like dropping out like big time. You there?
Judge or whatever his name is.
So, anyways, as far as I'm concerned, like it's pretty consistent with what we're seeing right now. Like all these
Yeah.
people are idiots. They're all freaking idiots. Like his Supreme Court nominee, they can't define a woman, and she's a freaking woman.
I know. Yeah, she climbed all these ranks. She's a woman who climbed all these ranks up to admiral, and as a woman, it's like, no, she was a guy until recently, and she still is, even though she identifies as a woman. She's not.
No, I'm talking about the Supreme Court justice who is a woman.
Okay, yeah. The
Yeah,
new
but
one
she
that
couldn't
we got
answer what a woman is.
Yeah, true.
No, I'm not talking about Levine,
Yeah.
the nut job that obviously has mental problems and is overweight, so obviously has poor health.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
that's the person who's supposed to be setting the standards for health in this country.
Yeah, no,
Like,
I know what you're talking about, and the one that they put into, they got selected as a Supreme Court judge because she was black and because she's a woman, which totally did a disservice to her, because she might be a great candidate, even though I hate the fact that she couldn't even tell you who a woman was. But now that she will always be known as the woman who became a Supreme Court justice because she was black and she was a woman.
yeah, and
Not
she got to
because of
prove that
merit.
she's not qualified if she can't legally define a woman, considering there's a lot of legislation designed to protect women.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Yeah, so I just, I would think if somebody's like sitting in a confirmation hearing for a federal court appointment, you would think that the first thing they would do to bone up on the interview, which is basically what the confirmation hearing is, the first thing that they should be doing is, I don't know, studying the fucking Constitution.
Yeah.
Like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, really?
Yep.
Like, every time I ever went for a job interview, I got every bit of details I could about the founding of the company, the principles of the company, the fucking, the corporate culture that they're trying to create. And then any financial data that I could, like strengths and weaknesses, to figure out where exactly I could apply my abilities to making the company better. So in this job, base level, you're talking about federal law. You should know a little bit of federal law, starting with the fucking Constitution.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you.
Jesus Christ, like, seriously?
Yeah, I know.
But then again, we got fucking Joe Biden, who says the fucking Bill of Rights aren't guaranteed rights. So why would they expect somebody who's supposed to be judging on judicial matters to actually know what's in the fucking Constitution as a judge? Like, the president doesn't know what the fucking executive is. So,
yeah,
the hell. I mean, the president doesn't know what reality is. So,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you. Just the whole administration is just horrible. I just can't wait for another year and a half, 2 years when we vote in a new president.
Anyway, so 1619 Project.
Oh God. Jeez. Yes.
So, well, Hulu is like airing a series about the 1619 Project.
Who? What?
Hulu is airing a series on the 1619 Project.
Hello, you there, Rob?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, you said I know who is.
Oh, so Hulu is putting out a series about the 1619 Project.
Hulu. Okay, yeah, I got you.
So, like, one of the most foundational claims was that the American Revolution was fought over slavery.
Yeah.
Look at that, nothing to do with slavery. Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah, absolutely nothing.
So, as a matter of fact, the first anti-slavery convention anywhere met in Philadelphia during the Second Continental Congress. Before the country even declared its independence. So, like, I just, it's pretty consistent with the left trying to make everything about race. The founding of the country had nothing to do with race whatsoever. I love the fact that everybody on the left in these alternative histories, how did they always fucking like leave out the fact that the actual first president of the United States was a fucking Moor? Like, the first president of the U.S. Senate was a Moor. Are you there, Brian? Did you pass out?
All right. No, I'm here. This is.
Well, are you trying to switch over to the computer?
No, sorry. I was just. I just got over to Jerry's house deck, but I was just telling him, just checking in with him real quick as you were talking.
Got you. Anyway, like the old saying is, those who forget history are doomed to repeat it.
Yeah.
And I think you make it even more likely when you alter history.
Yeah.
And that is what liberals have consistently tried to do. They poo-poo the crimes of communism, socialism, Marxism, and and they try and like segregate out like the worst of stuff. Like Stalin wasn't a communist, he was a Leninist. Or Lenin wasn't a communist, he was a Leninist. Stalin wasn't a communist, he was a Stalinist. China's not communist, they're a mixed market. Yeah, they're fucking communists. Like, everybody does what the government says is good for everybody. And basically, if you don't do what the government says, then you're guilty of treason because you're assaulting the entirety of the country. Like, communism, like good old-fashioned communism. Like, the individual doesn't matter, only the collective matters. But what's clear in China is the collective doesn't matter. What matters is the power of those in charge.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And trust me, I've spent some time in China, so I totally China is a totally different ball of wax when it comes to they are getting so bad now.
You know what is kind of like surprising to me though? That we don't hear a whole lot about Vietnam.
Oh yeah.
Like, after the politicians lost us that war and we went running with their tails tucked, kind of like we did in Afghanistan with Biden. Oh my God. Like, I'm still pissed about that. Like, fucking Russia's in negotiations with the Taliban to buy fucking U.S. weapons. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, I heard about
Way to go, Biden.
that. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. We talked about that was going to happen.
Yeah, fucking Brad specifically fucking called it. Like, he literally called the Russians are going to buy them. But I think at that time we didn't know just how shitty Russian weapons were. So I was just like, yeah, there's no reason really for them to buy it. They have peer level weaponry on everything. Yeah, I don't think so anymore. I think Russia's pretty much proved that Russian technology is massively inferior to Western technology, and they can't even maintain their shitty Russian technology without Western technology. So, like, yeah, the whole thing's a shit show.
Which, I mean, I'm not surprised by their equipment being shitty. We thought that way better than it has, and it's been so bad. But I mean,
yeah,
you could always see even how crappy their technology was. I mean, it really hasn't improved much since.
Well, and it's the reason why it's the same thing, same issue with China. Really good at copying shit because that's all they do is copy shit. But because they don't go through the work to get there, they're not really good at reproducing the creative effort that it takes to develop new technology.
Yeah, and that's one reason I'm not as worried about China they're at. And if something happens soon, it could really hurt us. And if we don't get our ass in gear, secure everything so they can't keep stealing all our new technology, they're just going to keep right up with.
I would even make the argument that probably a lot of their like more groundbreaking technology is actually based on our research. Like, I mean, we were researching the scramjet technology, which now have like fully functional. We had it going on in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
But then we abandoned the research, because Democrats,
15 years we've been hitting it hard again too. So
yeah, and now, but the reality is, like, neither one of those countries would be ahead of us in the technology if we hadn't bowed out of actually developing the technology. And as soon as we stopped researching it, they were able to magically get a hold of our research and duplicate it. It's magical. It's magical how that happens.
And I can't say anything bad about China actually doing that because when it's done that to begin with, to get caught up. I mean, they were so far behind. Every country, technology of stuff they don't understand.
Yeah, but no, I don't make excuses for any evil people.
Yeah.
Like, at all.
Well, other thing that, I mean, to me, one reason 10 years ago, I worried a lot more. 5 years ago, I worried a lot more about China than I do now. And I mean, the reason for that is before Xi Jinping got into office, China had opened their markets to innovate. So they were stealing all this technology, bringing it in, finding ways to bring it into society now. And it looks like any Western city where 20 years ago, it was run down. You would walk through and definitely go third world country when you're in any of the big cities. But now Xi Jinping is grabbing. Whoa, I think I lost Rob. What I was saying is now Xi Jinping is tight and taking more control from the people. That now there won't be nearly as much innovation for the last, that got China to where it is now. Hopefully Rob gets back in real soon. But I know quite a bit about China. I've spent a lot of time there. As anybody who listens to the podcast, I'm married to a Chinese woman, and I've spent months in China living with. I'm not living there as a tour in China. Explored, been out into the countryside to visit family homes, and there he is. He's back.
Yeah, stop talking about China, dude. Every single fucking time we talk about China, just stop talking about China. Every fucking time we talk about China, my phone craps out. I'm not kidding.
But I'm just saying, I'm not as worried. Since Xi Jinping has grabbed power, so the innovation that brought China up from a third world country to where in the grip, and they're not going to stop having that innovation because people aren't. I want to, maybe not inspired, but they're not motivated anymore to create like they were there for a while, because he's tightening the grip. So everything's about and not about advancing yourself and your family and becoming richer and they're taking away that success factor in it, which motivates so many people to build and to grow.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
That's one thing that makes America great.
So what I think the dynamic there I think the dynamic there is like for a while, they had actual incentive to be successful. They had incentive for a little while. Through their mixed market, they did have some incentive. You could actually become rich you could become rich in China.
Yeah, just look at the Alphabet founder, and now they're tightening the grip on. He's even didn't he disappear for a little while, and then they re-released him. I know in China where they've really cracked down on the leadership.
Yeah, they like re-educated him or some shit.
Yeah, he'll disappear for several months or a year. It's not just because they went on a vacation and disappeared to get out of there. Mm-hmm. They're taken into a re-education camp and taught they need to get back. Why the Chinese party is what they need to be. They're being re-educated for their priorities. So it's not all about the party.
De-educated.
Yeah, and I love China. I love China. Obviously, as most will say, I hate the government. I hate what they're doing.
They were barbaric and tribal and backwards, and then the Europeans conquered them, and they still acted barbaric, tribal, and backwards. And then World War II happened, and the Chinese took them over, and they acted barbaric and backwards. And then the military coup happened that brought in the communist government, and they act barbaric and backwards. The only thing that's disappeared from the equation is the tribalism.
They were, I'll say that the Chinese says a shining example of a mighty empire. And
what are you talking about? They fought constant wars against each other. The Three Kingdoms constantly fighting, and they were always constantly fighting with their neighbors.
Well, they unified for and then they'd fall apart, but they were advancing, and they were, for the rest of the world.
They weren't unifying. Occasionally, one guy would get strong enough to conquer all those other places.
For hundreds
that's not unification. That's conquering.
For hundreds of years, just like Rome.
Yeah, but the Romans were one push. These were the same people fighting against each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a dynasty would take over and rule for 100 years, 200 years. And
it was more like the warlike society amongst the Greek city-states.
I mean, even look at Japan. For a long time, they looked up to China, a shining example of a mighty empire. But then when they went, they any interaction with China or anybody else in the world around the 1800s for years, they went back over and they went to China and talked to the ambassadors, and all the disgusted by what they saw in China, from the sewage running down just everything, because China had stopped advancing and they just held back. So as Europe was advancing and going into these into the golden ages, the 1800s, China didn't follow that, and they didn't take that technology, and that's why until recently.
Yeah, they were savage barbarians. That's it.
Yeah,
that's all there is to it. They were just savage barbarians. I mean, they had their rights to be savage barbarians if that's what they wanted to be, but it doesn't change the fact that they were savage barbarians.
So back to the U.S. Did Nikki running?
Savage barbarians too.
Actually announced that she's running.
Nikki? Yeah. Well, okay, her official announcement's going to be on the 15th,
Okay.
But it's obvious. Like, they're even reporting on her phone call with Donald Trump on the topic.
Yeah, I knew.
And Trump said, well, if she does that, like, I absolutely, she asked me if she should, and I said, yeah, she should. So she is.
Yeah. So, okay,
like,
that's
no,
awesome. I knew
nobody thought she was
about
going to, because she had said that, you know, if her president is running, she's not going to.
Well, and that goes back to the whole, is Trump actually running, or did he do it for some other reasons? Okay,
maybe, like, it's possible that he's just doing it to take fire from the other conservative candidates.
That would be
up
awesome.
Until the primaries, where he can bow out gracefully and throw his support behind who he really wants.
Well, that would give me.
You know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see. I don't think DeSantis would take a VP spot, but it would be cool to have Nikki Haley with DeSantis as a VP.
You still don't think DeSantis should run as president? I mean, I'm almost more towards the side. Let him do his thing for another 4 to 8 years, and then he should run. Get some.
Well, like I said, like, I want Nikki Haley, so obviously, to me, the only option is, what can he do in Nikki Haley's administration? Yeah.
No, I would love to see. Like I said earlier, I would love to get more. I mean, I've been very impressed with her. I thought she was highly intelligent. She was amazing UN ambassador, and I would love to hear her ideas of how to the disaster that Biden's gotten us into.
And you think she's hot because you like Asian women?
Well, I do. I said before, I never realized she had any Asian. Yeah, I have said I thought she was rather beautiful. So
I think it's her intelligence that makes her hot. But anyway,
that is a huge part of attractiveness. Yeah, there's the physical attractiveness, and she does have a lot of the. But if there's no intelligence to go with it, that any physical attractiveness disappears. To me, at least.
All I can say to that is Karina. We don't need to explain that one. That's an inside joke. Dude, you do Karina.
Yeah, yes, I know.
Anyway, well, that's going to be it for me. I got to get on to my next job. So ends up a little bit of a short show, but thanks for popping on, even though you were in the middle of handling your emergency. I appreciate you joining me, so I wasn't just ranting at the camera alone.
Well, I figured, what the hell, I might log in, even though I can just put the phone over on the side and just talk.
Right.
When you're talking to yourself, as much as people love seeing you, Rob.
My ordination certificate's on the way too.
But let's plan to get on tomorrow for a little bit. I mean, if we just plan to get on tomorrow, I'll set my alarm so I can get up around at 5, and even if we do a tech talk or something, talk about some launching technologies or something.
Yeah, I'm not impressed with the launching technology. We talked about that before, but we'll figure out something to talk about.
Yeah, we'll talk about something. I mean, Japan's looking at a
space elevator.
Yeah, I want to look up the information on that. I know you're very skeptical about it, and the engineering things that need to happen for it to actually be even feasible. But I would love to get online and then come on and talk about it.
We need some sort of anti-gravity technology to do it, and we don't have it. That's why I'm skeptical.
You think that'll go into magnetics and stuff for the anti-gravity stuff?
Yeah, I don't know that they would be able to produce enough energy to use magnetics to combat the gravity, because of how huge the Earth's iron core that creates the magnetic field and gravitational field.
But maybe they can create some kind of magnetic bubble that inside the bubble is, you can move. There's lots of ideas I have in my head on that type of stuff. Let's get out.
Or maybe they're lining the bottom of the shuttle with scarab shells, carapaces with the honeycombs.
Okay.
Dude, we talked about that. The harmonic levitation that bees and beetles and stuff use to fly.
Yes, through sound.
Yeah, and the harmonic propulsion.
Yep.
So
No, that'd be awesome.
I mean, I know it was like kind of a like out there suggestion, but that would be kind of cool if that's what they were looking at as far as like the technological breakthrough.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Also,
Anyway,
have to look in, find time to do it, research, and then get back on and talk about it.
Right. Well, hey, revelers, thanks for listening to me and Brian as we bullshit here. Make sure to like, subscribe, share. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. Well, not Instagram, sorry.
Talk to us. Send ever. We love to hear from you guys.
Twitch. You guys can always message. But thanks for joining us, Brian. Thanks for talking up stuff, and we'll see what we can do about doing a tech talk tomorrow.
Amen, brother.
All right. Have a good night, everybody. Have a good night, Brian.
Good night, brother.